Clean the shit out of your desk and get the fuck out of here. You're a loser.
You know, I bet if bronies were still popular, Vermin Supreme would have gotten the nomination. I'm going to talk about why third parties can't win, why they won't win, and why it's actually possible that they could win if they put their minds to it. But the problem is they keep focusing on all the wrong things. I'm going to get into that. I'm going to play some content from the vice presidential candidates, from the presidential candidates, from each of the parties, from the 2020 election. I have a wide variety of things here that I could talk about. I probably won't get to all of them. This will probably be like a multi-part video because there's just so much to get to with how they've just colossally fucked up with the political discourse. I mean, we had one of the most politically divided elections of all time in this country. Some of the most disliked candidates, but we also got the most votes. Okay, the way that you win, apparently, is by fear. It's not by actually getting them inspired and getting them hopeful. You don't want the other guy to win, right? Because that's ultimately what it comes down to for a bunch of these people, is they just went out and they voted against the fucking person that they didn't want to win, rather than voting for the person that they want to win. And that's what happens when you have a two-party duopoly, where it's basically two parties that are too busy jerking each other off, batting back and forth the same politically divided issues. They focus on that shit, and then stuff like infrastructure, legalizing drugs, which increasingly a bunch of fucking conservative and liberal people are agreeing that the war on drugs was a failure. All these issues are ignored, and that's where third parties could provide some use in this country. Go on a local level, you know, actually try and get something accomplished and trying to get these feasibly obtainable offices. Instead of that, both of these third parties, the two main ones that people talk about at least, which are the Libertarians and the Greens, they always do the same thing every election cycle. They go for the highest position possible on no budget at all against two corporate parties which have run the fucking system for decades, long before any of us were fucking born. So why do they kid themselves every time and waste money and donations on a presidential campaign that's just a publicity stunt that doesn't get them anywhere? I really don't fucking get it, because I am someone who decided to vote for a third party, and I've commonly heard this fucking criticism that voting for a third party candidate, you might as well just fucking throw your vote away. It's kind of like a circular logic, but there's actually been some good points that have been made arguing against why even bother going for the presidency. Like, sure, I believe in voting for third party candidates at a local level, but the thing is, down ballot, there was no fucking third party options, at least not where I was. To actually get shit accomplished in this country, yeah, you should be affiliating yourself with a third party, but the thing is, nobody wants to, because these independent candidates, these people who are actually inspired to go out and do something new for their community, often they don't even want to embrace a third party because third parties are associated with failures. Campaigns that, in many cases, just take a look at fucking Howie Hawkins. He couldn't even get 1% of the vote. He tried to get 5% of the vote, and he only got fucking 0.5% of the vote. As much as I'm happy with the vote that I cast, content enough going out to vote for Joe Jorgensen, a lot of people gave me fucking shit for voting for the Libertarian candidate rather than voting for one of the two mainstream candidates. I wasn't gonna go out and support a duopoly. I can't go out and morally, in good conscience, support a candidate just because I'm afraid of the other guy and what he might do. It all comes back to what I brought up earlier. A lot of people are voting out of fear, because that's gonna send a message to the establishment that they don't even have to try to pretend to inspire us and give us hope. Two of the most dislikable people that I've ever fucking seen ever, and they can expect us to vote between those two with no other fucking options, and I'm sorry, I'm not gonna vote for those two. Let me respond to something that Spike Cohen said.
We're running to win. We are running to win, and we are cognizant of the fact that our high water mark was last election 3.25%. We recognize that we would have to essentially get 10 times that number of votes to really be in contention for the Electoral College. We are running to win.
Spike comes out of the fucking gate and he states, you know, we're against impossible odds, but we're running to win anyway. You know, I want to listen to everything that he has to say, but I just want to say up front, a lot of people who pay attention to politics in such a passive way that they don't actually take the time to listen in. So a lot of people are just going to hear what you're saying. Despite impossible odds, I think I'm going to be able to do that. They're not going to look at that and be like, oh, I'm so inspired by the fact that he's ignorant to the fact that basically he has no chance. I don't know, I just feel like that's a terrible fucking first impression. It's like, yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do with my fucking campaign. There's barely a chance this campaign will ever amount to anything. And here's why. I'm just gonna say that out the gate. Just maybe he'll have a good reputation.
And, you know, people will say, how are you gonna get that 35%? If we get that 15% to get on that debate stage, I believe it's all over. I believe it will be an emperor has no clothes moment. Everyone's told, oh, you know, third parties, it's a waste of your vote, and you're throwing your vote away, and if you're not voting Democrat, you're voting Republican. And if you're not voting Republican, then you're voting Democrat. But if you're voting Libertarian, then you're voting both Democrat and Republican. It's a nonsensical argument, but it works. If we get on that stage and people see not only are we not a vote thrown away? But we're the only option that even begins to make sense of it. We dial back to what are other victories. I honestly don't even like getting into that right now because we are running to win. And the last thing I want is for any of the people who are on the ground every single day, making phone calls and getting petitions signed and calling in to talk radio and doing their best to get us on interviews and everything else, for me to say, well, if we can get X%, then that'll be a real victory. If you think about it, it'll be a nice moral victory for us.
Brings up an interesting theory here, and I've heard this theory posited before, which is if the third party gets 15%, then it'll be kind of like a domino effect. The more that people see that voting for a third party is a feasible option, and if they can actually get on that fucking debate stage, then they could, make serious progress. But the problem is that the establishment duopoly is never gonna let you get to that point where you can get that 15%. The third parties would be lucky to break fucking 5%. Quite a lot. I've heard that posited so many fucking times. Yeah, 5% for a third party, and they'll be able to get on the debate stage. I believe the Libertarian Party broke 1%. When an incumbent is president, third party turnout has always been a lot less. The Libertarians had a 3.2% turnout in 2016, which is a pretty good turnout overall. It was looking like more people were gonna, end up giving into fear, and that's exactly what happened. People gave into fear. We had a historical fucking turnout, despite having two historically disliked fucking candidates. Isn't that fucking crazy? This is the election cycle, where you would think that third parties would make a splash, between these two crusty old fucks, that people would get behind a third party and be like, no, enough's enough. Then no, I'm gonna go vote for a fucking third party. It goes to show that this is just never gonna happen. This shit's never gonna happen. The third party is never just gonna take the presidency. At least not in the state that they're at right now. A third party has to actually be willing to come in at a state level and get shit accomplished. None of this fantasy land fucking bullshit. The dude has a decent fucking grasp on social media. This is just a terrible fucking dismissal. Like, what's the Libertarian Party's next move? When inevitably, a very small margin of Libertarian voters who actually went out and expected that this was just gonna be the election where it all changed. Justin Amash, whatever you fucking think of the guy, he's the only fucking third party member of Congress. The third parties should try to get more in mayorships and in Congress and in the Senate. Why would you go after the fucking presidency first? That's like trying to topple the queen as the first fucking piece in a game of chess. It doesn't make any sense. That's not how you fucking do things.
Joe Jorgensen, I believe, will be the next president of the United States, and I believe that it will happen on the strength of the American people seeing firsthand how there is no comparison.
That part at the end, which makes him seem like such a goofball, because he says with such fucking conviction, like, yeah, my candidate will be the next president of the United States. Like, for a fucking fact. Don't bullshit me. This is exactly what I'm talking about. That pisses me off about this third party shit, is I hate when candidates bullshit me. And this is just another way that I'm getting the same shit that I see from the two-party duopoly. Oh yeah, I'm gonna make this thing happen that could never happen in a million fucking years. Be honest with me. Have realistic fucking expectations. And honestly, if these third parties were being realistic, they wouldn't even bother with presidential campaigns. They would be trying to get into the other branches of government, like I keep trying to fucking say. And have you noticed that he doesn't address the actual argument that I've said in this video? And like, whatever. Maybe he does address it somewhere at some place. One promise that they know they can't keep. And that's all politics really is, especially in this country. People making promises that they know that they can't fucking keep. Perhaps there's a video that I'm gonna play for you from Dario Hunter. Let's see what he has to say about his experiences running for the Green Party nomination. They were completely crushed by Howie Hawkins, who basically forced himself into the nomination.
The Green Party has sought for decades to be a home, a refuge for leftists disenfranchised by two-party con games and corrupt system politics.
Look, I don't want to riff on this dude too hard. He would have made a much better fucking candidate than Hawkins, someone who I actually could have seen myself fucking voting for. But why are you making your special campaign announcement with a fucking video on portrait mode? This is the type of shit I'm talking about, is like there's no professionalism at all when it comes to these candidates. So as unprofessional as Howie Hawkins is, this looks even more fucking unprofessional. And look, you probably don't have a lot of fucking resources. I'm sure you're just a regular fucking dude. But you can at least get in touch with someone who has at least as much technical knowledge as I do, and get someone to help you out and do better presentation than this.
From the beginning, I found that efforts were made by Green Party insiders to stack the deck for a green establishment candidate, a concept that defies all sense of green values.
This is actually a really good point because it drives the point home of why I couldn't go and vote for Howie Hawkins, is he sums it up perfectly here. He's like a green establishment candidate. He's been the co-founder of the Green Party, at least the current inception of the Green Party, which if you want more information on how the Green Party has not been one consistent party, check out an old-ass video I did with me, Jamie, and Swegta, where we all dived into it and we had a good fucking conversation on an episode of Underhaven about the history of the Green Party. So this is the newest incarnation of the Green Party, and Howie Hawkins has been its founder since I believe 1992. Clearly nepotism was involved in some level in choosing him, and I think that's undeniable. He saw this election as the perfect opportunity to strike and ride on that Bernie Sanders thunder and actually win an office for once. But Howie Hawkins, you've run for office 25 times in a row now and failed every single fucking time. What made you think that this would have been the one that would have worked out for you?
In Missouri, I jumped up and took a seat at the state party's Green New Deal panel with Hawkins when I was told I could not participate. And at Illinois and Massachusetts conventions, I called everyone in attendance to hear me speak during a break in the agenda, because no candidates other than Hawkins were allowed on the agenda.
I'm just imagining the idea of actually going to like a party convention for the Green Party in any of these states, especially like the smaller states. It's probably just like two fucking people besides a fucking punch bowl. I guess as someone who cares about third parties on some level, I should care, but I really just don't. So a lot of the things that this guy has brought up, I've looked into. I've actually done the research on it myself. I've tried to see it from other fucking sources, and here's the problem, is that coverage of this type of shit, of how the Green Party does their nominations, it's just so sparse because nobody gives a shit. But taking this guy at his word, if what he said is actually true, which seems very fucking likely, and was just snubbed by a complete fucking incompetent asshole who can't even articulate himself properly, and that pisses me off, because I actually like to see people get involved and try and make change and make a difference, and those are the people who get treated like the most shit, especially in politics.
We have seen the rules bent for Hawkins, allowing him to maintain dual membership with another party despite a clear rule to the contrary. We have seen state parties publicly promote the Hawkins campaign before their own primary had taken place.
Oh yeah, for those of you who want elaboration on this, apparently Howie Hawkins is not only the candidate for the fucking Green Party, but he's also the fucking candidate for another third party called the Socialist Party, in an attempt to unite them. By doing this corrupt bullshit, all he did was divide people and lose the votes of potential people like me who would have voted for him. I would have voted for the Green candidate regardless of who it was, as long as it wasn't as incompetent and corrupt of an asshole as Howie Hawkins is.
Texas gave Hawkins less than half its votes, but 77% of its delegates. A similar challenge is in regards to the young eco-socialist delegates, all for Hawkins, despite a sizable vote proportionally for Jesse Ventura.
I really wish that Jesse Ventura had just swooped in and secured this fucking nomination. Now, there's somebody who actually would have gotten people inspired and actually, you know, gotten some fucking change perhaps in this country. Some inspiration to get a third party at least fucking past 5%, at least get some progress, get a change going on in this country. But nope, Howie Hawkins time. It's my time for president.
The only reasonable way forward is a contested convention. If the party and its leadership continue to dig in its heels and refuse to redeem the reputation of this party and its potential standing in this election, it needs to know we will not accept the results of your deeply flawed primary. There will be no endorsement.
At the end here, it's very important because he says that the only solution is that there will have to be a contested convention, which never ended up happening for the fucking Green Party. Howie Hawkins secured the nomination without any fucking issues at all. Even people who are part of independent media never tried to shine a light on this, that he just got completely screwed over. It's sad, but it's unsurprising because nobody cares about third-party nominations for president. So I don't regret my choice voting for a third party, but the third parties in this country need to get their fucking shit together, or maybe I'll just fucking abstain altogether in the next election cycle. Like, if they seriously put out candidates that are even less fucking tolerable than what we have right now, which I think is incredibly likely, the powers that be in this country know now that that will just tolerate nothing and go out and vote like crazy. But maybe not. Maybe there'll be some actual fucking hope for the future. I'm gonna keep a little fucking shred of that hope. How about you guys let me know down in the comments below who you want to see run for president in 2024? Because I've already got some ideas rattling around my head. In fact, I might actually make a fucking video on that. Do some concepts and talk about the people who I'm speculating to run in 2024. Because I've got some names in my head for the GOP nomination and the Democratic nomination. So maybe sometime soon, I'll actually do a fucking video on that, talk about my predictions. But until next time, guys, thank you for fucking listening, and stay toasty.